Hi, today I'll be reading Deric Longden's The Cat Who Came In From the Cold, Chapter 3. Hope you enjoy. I followed Aileen around the bedroom as she tugged open first the wardrobe door and then the drawers in the dressing table. I can't believe you said that. Neither could I. I had been known to bend the truth a little. On occasions I have bent it until it snapped, and there have been times when I stretched it until it winced. But I've never been a liar. Just a bender and a stretcher, now and then, and it was mostly in a good cause. It just came out. She was lying flat on her stomach now, sweeping under the bed with her arm. You should have said that you didn't know where he was. Why? Because I don't know where he is. I've lost him. I swept under the other side of the bed and then checked the shoe cupboard. I had to find him and take him home as soon as possible. Then perhaps I might erase the bare-faced lie from my memory. I felt like a 7-year-old again. Honest, Daddy, I haven't seen the change you left on the mantelpiece. What's that in your hand then? Would you believe that one of my insurance policies has matured? He didn't, as a matter of fact, and the shame stayed with me long after the bruising had disappeared. Where did you see him last? He was in the sink eating the soap. Right, let's do the bathroom again. He looked everywhere. I even went through the medicine cabinet. Aileen shook her head. He couldn't have got up there. He got in the sink. How did he do that? Jumped off the toilet. I tipped the linen basket upside down for the second time that night, but Aileen didn't move. The lid on the toilet, what about it? It was up, I remember now. He tiptoed around the rim. He nearly fell in. He must have come down the same way. The lid wasn't up now, and we both stared at the closed door and at the closed toilet in horror. Have a look. I knew he would be in there. I could feel it in my bones, and my bones are never wrong. I lifted the lid, and he wasn't. No, he was not there. Thank God for that, she said, and then added, He couldn't have gone down and round the bend, could he? No, of course he couldn't. You sure? Of course I am. Just don't flush it for a while. We couldn't find him anywhere. We combed the house from top to bottom, and it's a big house. Eventually the clock in the hall struck 23. Eventually the clock in the hall struck 23 and a half minutes past. Start that again. Eventually the clock in the hall struck 23 and a half minutes past 1, and we gave up and made for bed. Aileen had one last look in the toilet, half expecting to see a tiny snorkel break through the surface of the water. I shan't be able to sleep. He could be suffocating. Nonsense, he'll be all right. I wouldn't be sleeping either. I might as well do something. Where's my dressing gown? I'll have one last look around. I put it in the washing machine, ready for the morning. She sat bolt upright in the bed. I didn't sit bolt upright. I'm not as quick on the uptake as she is. We haven't looked in the washing machine. I sat bolt upright. I catch on quick once I've been pointed in the right direction, and in no time at all I was in the utility room, yanking open the door of the washing machine. I couldn't see him at first. He was all wrapped up in my towelette robe. Then his head appeared from under the pair of pants, and so as not to waste too much energy, he opened just one eye and glared at me. Do you mind? Some of us are trying to sleep. The clock in the hall struck 46.5 minutes to 7. I must do something about that clock. It's been in Aileen's family for just over 100 years, and it's time it went off on its own, and saw what the real world is about. There was a pounding on my chest and a purring in my ear. I opened my eyes and a small white kitten was staring at me. If there's one thing I can't stand first thing in the morning, it's a cheerful kitten. Go away. It moved up onto my throat. Go away. It was fascinated by the throttling noise under its paws and began pounding like a washerwoman. My Adam's apple rolled gently sideways and plopped into my left ear. I picked him up and made to drop him down onto the bedside rug. He screamed. No, not like that, anything but that. He broke free and scrambled back onto the bed to tell Aileen all about it. I raced over and just managed to stop him in time. Aileen needs her 8 hours. Together we rescued my robe from the washing machine, and with my cigarettes and lighter in one pocket and a small white kitten in the other, I plodded downstairs to the kitchen. What do you fancy for breakfast? Chicken. There's none left. Prove it. I opened the fridge door and we took stock. There was very little of anything in there, and as he hung out of my pocket and examined the bottom shelf, his face was a picture of misery. I straightened and slowly raised him up a shelf. 2nd floor, butter, cheese, onion and herb dip, half a grapefruit. He sniffed and nodded. I straightened a little more. 3rd floor, half a tin of Fusel's condensed milk, 1 can of Coke and 2 salmon steaks. What's salmon? You wouldn't like that. Going up. 4th floor, 6 large eggs, bottle of French dressing even, cranberry sauce, box of cherry tomatoes, and... What's that? Garlic sausage. I'll try that. He loved it, and by the time the kettle had boiled, he had eaten 2 slices. I gave him a 3rd piece, took my cup of tea into the study, and spread the Independent out on the floor. I can't read the newspaper sitting in the chair. I have to squat on all fours. It dates back to my early days, with the Beano and the Dandy. And causes all sorts of problems for me on the inner city trains to London. The kitten put his head around the door and wanted to know where the hell was his milk. I apologised and followed his indignant little rump back into the kitchen, then slipped him a slice of Allinson's wholemeal bread under the grill. We waited. It takes ages, and then it's all done at once. You have to catch it while the smoke is still a bluey grey. I smiled down at him. He glared up at me. It won't take a minute. He glared up at me. It's wholemeal, it's good for you. He glared up at me and the penny dropped. You want milk, don't you? He glared up at me. You didn't want toast. He glared up at me. I'm sorry. He glared up. Stop it. He rolled his eyes. And you can stop that as well. Who the hell do you think you are? His eyes widened in amazement. What did I do? He didn't want his milk right away. He waited for his toast. I felt rotten about being sharp with him, and so I split it between us. Marmalade on my half, Marmite on his, and went back to the Independent. He joined me a few minutes later, and with milk dripping from his chin, sat down on Nelson Mandela. I was reading that. He burped, and from the very depths of his soul, a great wave of second-hand garlic sausage bubbled up and surrounded us. I went green.